Hi, everyone. We're back. Middle of July. Does everybody realize that we're in the middle of July? Just so you know, we're in the middle of July. But nonetheless, it's another fun week of Athletics LLC. Believe it or not, there has been stuff that went on, and we're going to talk about it because that's what we do. So before we get into that, Clyde, how are you doing this week? Clyde. Oh, that's the response. Okay, got it.
You know,
Had to think about it.
good.
Got it. It's about right. Governor, how about you, sir? I love the muted answers. It's funny. Oh, and then as appropriate as we get to the last one, listen more, talk less. How are you?
It's yeah, it's almost D-Day for me. So we got a few more days of taking phone calls, answering signability questions, and working the deals.
He's talking about baseball, people, not the Olympics.
Or the
FYI.
transfer portal.
Or the port, yeah, or the portal at that. So anyhow, well, there are a lot of things that are happening, not necessarily on the track, but revolving around the track, pun intended. Um, we've got some storylines that are being drawn up in regards to the Olympics. Some including some pretty crazy things, some not so crazy, but uh, you know, I mean, where do we even start? Do we start with the good or start with the bad?
You tell us because there's so
Let-
much.
Let's start with the good. Let's start with the cheery since everybody's having a meh week. So I'll start it off. The relay pools were announced for the US teams. And oh my goodness. Oh,
And
Kai.
Kai is in the relay pool. Oh, wow, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now you're smiling, Kai.
I'll be back.
Okay, you gotta love this show. You gotta tune in to this show every week because you just never know what's gonna happen.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Kai. But yes,
Can
so
we,
the
can
relay
we get a
pools.
slow-mo on that? Can we?
All right.
Oh my God. Oh,
But I mean, talk about it. Were all the names on the list that we think should be on the list? Lists?
I will say this, right? I think I go at USATF and the relay folks' neck probably as hard as anybody. So I will say this. I at least believe that they are going to put the correct personnel on the plane to go to Paris. The relay personnel grouping looks to be the best one we could possibly send. I know though there are those who wish that the young man who's the high school 100-meter guy was included. Trust me, he didn't get slighted. This group is better than if he was in it. That's not meaning that he's not really good. I also think we may have just lost our host. Interesting. But I think the relay personnel that they have assembled is A, versatile enough, B, got a good mixture of experienced and new blood, and C, and I think this is probably kind of the whole paramount piece to it, right? I think we've seen all these people run good relays.
First of all, there was a flood of information that we were privy to regarding the quotas and the fact that the Olympic Committee, the IOC, is pretty much standing firm on the amount of athletes that they're willing to allow into the village, and pretty much telling federations that anyone outside of that quota are literally going to be outside the village. And so anyone there for a free trip, sorry, buddy, not going to happen. But what I will also say is that I think the mixed relay has added a new dimension, and I feel like the United States have cracked the code on how to
Finally.
get everybody that they need, not that they
Yes.
want, but everybody that they need will be at the games. And now they have Plan B in place. They have Plan C in place. And I'm looking at these names that, the names, the folks, the ancillary athletes, if you will. And it reads like a dream team. I mean, you're looking at Coleman, Dedman, Kyrie King, Lindsay, Vernon Norwood, Quincy Wilson. Unbelievable group of athletes. And I feel like there should not be any excuse whatsoever for this particular generation of the United States Olympic team to wreck shop. They're going to do some really, I feel really good about this group of athletes that they're going to be that are going to be representing the USA at the games.
I mean, we should be favored in 4 of the 5 relays.
I agree. Absolutely.
Will we not be favored in all 5?
No, we won't be favored in the women's 4x4.
In the women's 4x4?
Yeah, it doesn't mean we won't win it. I'm just saying
No.
we won't be, prohibitive favorites.
Who's the favorite?
I'm gonna say that they're probably gonna make the favorites the Dutch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right?
That's interesting.
No, but
Again,
no.
I didn't say that we're not gonna win all 5, right?
Okay.
I
You
think
said-
that we should win all
Yes.
5 if we do what we are capable. But I also know that when we start doing the 4x4 things, there's going to be a great deal of talk about other teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best thing that could ever happen to us.
Yeah, all of that's dope. And all that's cool. You said we was the favorites in 4 of the 5. I said,
Yes.
one are we not the favorites in? And you said the women's 4x4. I asked
Yes.
who? You said the Dutch. Cool. Clip that. There's no way that the Dutch are favored over us in the 4x4. That don't mean they couldn't win it. But that would
Okay.
be if the Dutch beat Team USA women 4x4, they should be flamed weekly for that L. Flamed.
I'm more
At the-
inclined.
If you would have said the Dutch in the mixed relay,
There you go.
then
That's the one
okay.
that I would be more inclined to say, and it would be only because the United States took it too lightly.
Sure.
But that's my point. If you look at the personnel we're taking, right, it doesn't appear that we're doing that.
No, it does not.
Like, that's
Right.
my point.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
normally the reason the Dutch or the Polish would be favored, right, in the mixed relay is because we look at the roster and like, we are arrogant enough to throw out some C teamers out there.
Yes.
But if you look at the relay pool of who the personnel that they have to pick from,
Yeah, man.
like, our mixed relay should dominate.
Absolutely.
Yes. You just didn't feel that the women's 4x4 should down. That's fine.
Okay, wait, time out. You're not about to make me sound like I'm an idiot. Like, look, it's not like it's not like Femke Bol and Klava aren't 2 of the best 4 people in that pool of 8 we're talking about.
Awesome.
Anyway, whatever, man. Move on.
So wait, I had an emergency on my hands where the discussion is Team USA relay selections.
The pre-trial storylines.
Yes.
And then I said to begin with the good. We were told who the relay pools are.
Okay.
We're talking about positive storylines currently.
Positive storylines. Okay. All right. So interrupt me if I repeat something that was already a point that I already made, but I am not going to sit here and pretend that the pre-Olympic storylines to the relay selections have been positive. They have not been positive. They have been idiotic. They've been absolutely idiotic. So we are here to educate. I am king of petty. So I am going to, hopefully for the last time, because we put it in writing, we've tweeted it, we've Instagrammed it, we've storied it. Damn it, people. Learn how this stuff works or stop talking about it like you do. It's one thing to have an opinion over who is selected. It's a completely different thing to have an opinion over who is selected because you don't understand how selections work. So let me try to box this in a little pretty package so everybody can understand. You do not qualify for the relay pool. Stop thinking that you do. That is not a thing. There is no universe in Team USA where first place, second place, third place are in the relay pool. They are not. They
not
are
anymore.
Right. Today. Right. They are on the team. Which team? The 100-meter team. Which team? The 200-meter team. Which team? The 400-meter team.
Yes.
Ryan Krauser is on the shot put team.
Yes.
And for the record, if Marissa Chu was in charge of Team USA relays and she wanted to run Ryan Krauser on the 4x1 for shits and giggles, she can do that. And there's nothing stopping her from doing such a thing. So the people who finish 1, 2, 3 have made their individual Olympic teams in their events. The relay pool is completely subjective to choices made by Team USA staff. And by Team USA staff, in this moment, we mean Mike Marsh and Michelle Lewis-Freeman, who are the relay coaches. Now, there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of trepidation, a lot of complaining about who was chosen and why. And the fact of the matter is, y'all can disagree with me. I think they did a hell of a job in those selections.
We just said that.
Yes.
You're in agreement.
The relay pool are 6 men and 6 women chosen at the discretion of those 2 human beings.
Yes.
Nothing else.
Yes.
No one's PRs matter. No one's head-to-head races in the 100 or any other event matter. It's their choice for their reasons. And hopefully the people that they chose go to the games and do the job that they were brought there to do. If they don't, then you can flame either one of those people for their selections and claim that person X would have done a better job. But the biggest point of contention in the build-up pre-Olympics has been the unfortunate pitting against the 2 kids, Quincy Wilson versus
Christian Miller.
Christian Miller. The narrative that has been posed is that somehow Quincy was selected and Christian was not, and it's some kind of travesty between the 2. No, people. Christian Miller wasn't selected, and I can't explain why because I don't make those decisions. But what I can tell you is that Kyrie King was selected, Courtney Lindsay was selected, Christian Coleman was selected because those 3 men have proven that they have the skill set to do the job that they are going to be tasked to do.
Right.
And Christian Miller hasn't yet.
So
was great. He's amazing. Bravo, sir. This is the last thing I want to say. Running from blocks in a straight line over 100 meters has nothing to do with the skill sets required to run a 4x1 relay. Do you know how I know that? because no one on the team is gonna do that job.
Right.
No one's coming out of blocks in a straight line over 100 meters.
Right.
So the 100-meter results are completely irrelevant to the choices that are made, and they should be. Choices are made, roll with it, live with it, and let's see how it gets coached and how it gets played out. But I thought the selections were very smart, and they set themselves up for success in all 5 relays on paper.
Well, what is playing out now is, for the first time, we are seeing the world relays as a trial run, and we're seeing the folks that are that may not have made automatic qualifying spots, but acquitted themselves well in Bahamas, are now being justly rewarded with their spots. These 7 athletes that they have earmarked for the 4x1.
Yeah.
This has to be the most impressive. And I hate using that euphemism, most this, most that. But you cannot tell me that this group, between the semis and the finals, aren't going to do some incredible things, man. I mean, I'm so
for the first time maybe ever, we have a chance to run a really high quality 4x1 in the semis that isn't tired.
Yes.
It didn't just run 8 races.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
which if they do their job, then gives us an opportunity to run a group in the final that should be rested, prepared, and ready to do the job.
Yeah.
So like in academic terms, we can say it's a well-educated group.
Mm-hmm.
They are primed, prepped, and prepared to do a job and deliver.
And every one of them knows their place. That is a novel idea.
That's crazy, right? To get hired for a job you know how to do. It's wild.
You know, it's yeah. I feel like things, I mean, we're probably, you know, I mean, God knows with the amount of mishaps that we've had at the Olympics and the World Championships, that I finally see order. And it's a beautiful thing.
Now I'll say this. As it pertains to the 4x1, on paper, if you look at the schedule and you look at who is selected, you can probably clearly see the plan that is in place.
Yeah,
sure.
You can
and the plan makes sense.
And it makes sense. You could probably project who's running when, where, and why.
Yeah.
You can't do that on the women. Can't do it.
Yeah.
The women is very much up for debate, I think, and I hope, because I'm a fan of Team USA, because I'm a fan of the athletes, because I want to see us win. And I know that last year, the team that was on the track could have broken that world record. I believe we have the personnel this year to break the world record. But given how USA's went and who's on the list, I don't think it's very clear at all who's running on the women's side. And I hope that they can avoid drama and turmoil, and the tough decisions are allowed to be made by the people who are supposed to be making them, because it is a potentially messy situation on the women's side.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, in following along the lines of positive storylines going into the Olympics, it's like, not to, you know, harken back to anybody on this panel being Nostradamus, but in Tokyo, we talked about the youth of that team and how that was probably going to play itself out 3 years later. And in so many ways it has.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this team looks like a team that can win a lot of medals.
Yes.
From 24 all the way through 28.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's not going to be the exact same team, but the core of this group and the few that we left at home, right? We left 2 or 3 that aren't that old, that got a chance to just get some get back. the core group of this group is really good.
Mhm.
And they're, for the most part, the right age. And the few that are still young are gonna get a chance to be seasoned. So, like, look, we love, NBC loves narratives. Well, look, if they have their rabbit's foot, Clint, and their horseshoe rubbed together and it goes well, we can win a ton of medals in 24 and even more in 28 at home on home soil.
Mhm.
Because if you look at it, there is a collegian in almost every event, or
Yeah.
someone who just finished college. Right? So we got a good portion of this team in their prime athletic years.
That's true. That's true. Positive narratives going into the games. I don't know. I don't know if this one is positive or negative, but it just kind of is playing out in a way. Like if you're a fan of Team USA and you're a fan of Sha'Carri Richardson, a positive narrative is it seems that the field is clearing a very big, wide path for her coronation. I mean, Elaine Thompson is out. Sharika Jackson, unfortunately, seems to have got dinged up in Budapest this past 2 days ago. Like one of the races that seem to be the most intriguing in the buildup seems to just it's starting to look like a pure coronation for Miss Richardson and Team USA. And again, as a person who enjoys competition and races, that's not what I want. I wanted to see everybody like the women's hurdles at USA. Like I wanted to see it across the line and just a crazy race straight up. But if you're telling me that now the main protagonists are Sha'Carri entering her prime versus Shelly Ann at 38, like, that ain't the race I wanted to see, right? But it'll be dope for Team USA. It'll be dope for Sha'Carri. Like, maybe it leads to an American sweep. I don't know. But that's one of the ones, like in the Olympics, I look for big matchups. Like I am so ready to get this preview at the Diamond League of Dos Santos, Warholm, and Rye stepping forward for the first time outside of a championship. I am so ready for that because that's one of the races I want to see, right? I want to see Femke and Sid, even though I think Sid blows her out. Like I want to see those things, right? So the women's 100 seems to be falling apart, but the men's 100 all of a sudden is way more intriguing than it was 30 days ago. It seems that the men's race has turned into the show that nobody really expected it to be with the ascension of Mr. Thompson in Jamaica.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good competitive storylines going into this Olympics. So like this should be an Olympics that Otto can really cut his teeth.
Yeah, true.
So it's interesting, and this is where we're at, in our sport. I'm almost convinced that there's a betting line that those three do not line up in Monaco.
Oh, of course, that's the betting line.
for sure.
For certain. And we're only a day away.
There's a better than average chance that it happens, just because, like, okay, so like here's the thing, right? And you guys are all coaches, so I think you get this, right? Everybody wants to see that, but in all honesty, it's not the best thing for any of those three people to do this. Right? Like it really isn't. If we're gonna be
who has the most to lose?
If you coach one of those three people, this is not the best thing for you. And I say this because you don't want to show weakness nor too much strength.
So
right now.
So the governor threw a very interesting question in that regard. Assuming they all line up, who has the most to lose? I will say that Warholm has nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing. He's won everything. He is the world record holder. And if you beat him in Monaco, who cares? He may learn something. Well, let me finish it. He may learn something that he can use moving forward. If you don't beat him, only the psychology of the other two will be a problem. Warholm's psychology is fine. He's proven it. I think the person who has the most to lose is actually Rye.
I definitely think it's Rye because he's got the most tenuous psyche. Right? Like at the end of the day, like here's the thing. Others have now beaten Warholm. Rye still hasn't.
Yeah.
Right? That's actually relevant. And that's kind of my point, right? Like I'm never one of those people who's like, you should duck this fight. But I would just say this. If I was in one of their corners as an agent, I probably wouldn't have booked this race. And I know there's money involved, a lot of it, but I probably would have passed on this one. But hey, listen, as a fan, which I am, I sure as hell hope all three of them are in 6, 7, and 8, or 5, 6, and 7, whatever the fight is over the lanes. I sure as hell hope that that's what happens.
Well, on that note, very quietly, Mr. Lyles did not show up in Monte Carlo.
He said he's good.
He said he's good.
I'm good. I'll be back.
And he is going to take another week to stay and train in Florida. And perhaps, you know, there is a method behind the madness. I mean, obviously, as I said before, you talk about someone that has a lot to lose. My goodness.
Well, and so to that point, right? Both Noah Lyles and Sha'Carri Richardson are the reigning, defending world champions.
Yep.
They earned that distinction. They earned it on the track. And last year in Budapest, they lined up and beat everybody there was to beat for that title, those titles. So everybody respects those titles, whether you like those athletes or not. However, they both have built themselves up into they cannot lose these Olympics. They cannot lose.
Sure.
Can't lose. Too much hype, too much press, too much showmanship, too much,
exposure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you call it? Marcel is the reigning defending Olympic champion. His life, everything's going to be just fine if he loses or wins. I'm sure he wants to win.
Right.
Fred has a world championship. Nobody's really tripping on that one either. You can't carry yourself in this business the way that those people have and lose this Olympics. It cannot happen.
Man, oh man.
I mean, listen, I'll say this, and then unfortunately we got to flip the script and go into the negatives. But those two people are going to find out how big the Grand Canyon size chasm is between being an Olympic gold medalist and being a world championship gold medalist. Because it's a Grand Canyon, folks.
It is.
And at the end of the day, the victor will go the spoils. If they win, listen, their bank accounts are going to explode. Because if they're defending Olympic champions going into a home Olympics, we're going to cash those checks. But if it doesn't happen, you got to deal with it on the other side. And I'll start off on the negative. And they're not super negative, but I just, listen, as an American, it always makes me laugh when the Brits do things that don't make any sense. And they love to be in the building and fielding themselves. And this particular flex and the mountain that they've chosen to die on is hilarious to me, right? The standards, which the Brits are very involved in setting, are insanely difficult, kind of across the board. Now, some of them seem easier than others because we in America have a lot of people who have some of those standards, right? But the standards are pretty evenly mixed, and they're all pretty difficult. For the Brits to say, other than relay personnel, they're not taking anybody to the Olympics who doesn't have the standard is absolutely wild.
Yep.
Because I just want to give people an idea of how difficult some of these standards are. There are no American males with the standard in the long jump.
Nope.
There are 2 American males with the standard in the triple jump.
Mm-hmm.
There is 1 American female with the standard in the javelin. There are no American females with the standard in the triple jump.
Nope.
Like, we can do this all day, right? We're taking the biggest team and it's almost full. It's not quite. We don't have 3 in everything, right? But if we were to just go back and say, everybody who doesn't have the standard, regardless of where you are in world ranking, you can't go. Listen, Linda.
Yeah.
We not only would we leave a lot of people home, we would leave some finalists
Yes.
home.
Home. Yes.
We might leave a medalist or 2 home.
Yeah.
Because these standards are really, really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild to me that the Brits have decided to die on that hill.
That
you can only assume that that's a financial decision.
I see, here's the
It
thing.
has to be.
None of us are ever going to let the Brits cry poor. No shot.
and the
So-
other thing is, it's not the federation's purse strings we're talking about. We're talking about the
Right.
Olympic Committee's purse strings,
Right.
which,
It's IOC money.
sorry, I don't buy that. I really don't.
Look, it's a flex.
Mhm.
And we know it's a flex.
Yeah.
They think that they can bully their athletes into being better.
Yep.
It's just not a thing.
Now,
So do you think they created the petition? What weight is that petition gonna actually have then?
I
None.
mean, it's just a public opinion. It's just a
Yeah.
court of public opinion. And, I highly doubt that it's going to, I don't think anything's going to change because of it. They have been at the forefront. The British Federation has been at the forefront of pushing this narrative that unless you have qualified automatically, you don't deserve a spot. And I think it's horrible. And I think the brushback that they're getting, they deserve it. And thanks to social media and all the outlets and all of that, they're literally naming names now.
Yeah.
They're going through name by name. And they're also, thanks to the ranking system, showing you where these athletes are in the pecking order, right? And saying, what gives? What gives? I mean, so, I don't know that this is necessary. And speaking of the ranking system, I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily a negative, but, I've already started to look and start to dive a little bit deeper in the road to Paris on that portal. And wow, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see, you have the extreme with athletes that are just absolutely killing it, great results, all the way down. And if you start going down, there are ways to manipulate your way into the Olympic Games.
All right. So I just want to take this one point about the rankings because it is true, it is factual, and I think at this particular moment in time, it is the best possible example, again, to educate our audience
Yes.
as to how many holes are in this ranking system.
Yes.
You only need
It's so
one.
many.
You only need one example to quantify it. Sydney McLaughlin
Yes.
is the greatest of all time.
Right.
Sydney McLaughlin is the world record holder multiple times over. No one thinks that Sydney McLaughlin is anything other than the favorite to win Olympic gold in the 400-meter hurdles.
Right.
Sydney McLaughlin has at least 100 women ranked ahead of her on road to Paris. Notice I said ranked. Notice I'm talking about the world rankings, because if you pull up the road to Paris descending order list, at the top of it, you see Sydney McLaughlin in the number one spot.
Yes.
But you got to read over. Qualified by standard.
Standard. Yes.
Right.
So world rankings, she is not top 100 in the world.
In the world.
And that is stupid.
And let me just, I want to interject because somebody's going to be like, how is that possible? Well, because last year,
Yep.
the World Athletics decided that 3 marks was not enough.
Yep.
Because again, they're trying to force you to race more.
Exactly.
So they moved it from 3 marks
to
to 5.
Right.
Sid ran 1 race and then 3 rounds of the trials.
Yep.
She did not race the 400 hurdles last year. So on Sid's docket, she has 4 races.
Yep.
She does not qualify for the world rankings because she has not competed in 5 races.
Yes.
So the moment she runs the prelim of the Olympics, she will then immediately go to be number 1 in the world rankings. Right? And
wild.
that's
Wild.
and that's absolutely redonkulous.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's so many other, like, okay, I'll give you a simple one and then we can move off off beating up the rankings. If you live in Australia, you have the Australian National Championship, which comes with elevated bonus points from a national championship, which everybody has. You also have the Oceanic Championships, which is basically Australia and New Zealand. Yes, there's other countries. I'm not stupid. But what I'm saying is the vast majority of the people that we're talking about being relevant in those places belong in those 2 countries, right? So you de facto have the same meet twice, and you get elevated bonus points for both.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not talking little elevations, right? One is a national championship. The other one is an area championship, which has even higher elevated points.
Right.
So you can go in the decathlon and score 8,000 in both of those, and your world ranking will be locked into the top 20.
Easily.
Yeah. But you can be Aiden Owens and score 8,700 points at Mount Sac and be 19th in the world rankings. Right? So, like, at the end of the day, the world rankings have an innumerable number of holes in them. And the bad part about this is the people who are involved in this are actually bright people, and they can do better. They just have chosen not to.
Yeah.
Because this is not hard. None of this is a hard fix.
Yes. And, the fact, and I get that the points system basically starts July 1st of 2023 and it ended July 1st of 2024. Okay. The fact that there are people that will be competing at these games that have not competed at all in 2024.
Yep.
Again, and this has been voiced to me by more than one agent, talking about, being strategic, trying to find the right meets, all of this stuff. Once you have garnered enough points, it is almost impossible for you to fall out of the quota. And I don't know.
Period, yeah.
And I don't know that this is something that even those individuals even know this, or whether, that this is part of the master plan. But again, you cannot have a ranking system where you can pretty much guarantee yourself in the year before and not have to line up and stuff like that. There has to be some parity. There has to be. And I think
there
that's
need to
something
be
that,
qualifying windows
yes.
for points.
I mean,
right?
I think
we're not going to make you have to do everything in the year.
Yeah.
But you can't. But last year's marks can't be weighted the exact same as this year's.
It has to fall off, a la the NCAA, the USTF CCCA rankings, which, you know, at the beginning of the year, we can all have a good laugh and people are just like, yeah, look at us and this and this. And then once you get to a certain point, those points fall off and then we see the real rankings.
Yeah.
I don't think the world athletic system has figured that part out yet.
No, and again, the biggest issue with all of it is the bonus points, because this is what people don't understand. The bonus points are not added to your raw performance. Your raw performance comes out with a point total, and then the bonus points are added after that.
After that, yes.
Which essentially takes your performance and elevates the crap out of it.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Right. And so that's the issue, right? It's easy to do in the deck because we have point numbers. So like we can compare an 8,050 point score to an 8,750 score. But the same as in like all 12 100-meter hurdle races are not created equal.
Right. Exactly.
Right. If you run 1250 in a Diamond League meet, that is worth a whole lot more than 1250 at Mount Sac.
At Mount Sac.
Well, the Diamond League part of it is one of the more interesting parts. If I'm good enough in 2023, consistent enough in 2023 to make the Diamond League final, great. Give me my points, give me my rankings.
Right.
But then in 2024, why the hell am I getting credit for the Diamond League final in 2023? I thought we were going to have a Diamond League final this year.
Right.
Oh, we are. Well, then what do you mean? Like, no, January 1, everything should be wiped clean. And hey, man, last year is last year. We don't give credit to the Super Bowl champs in 2023 as a part of the 2024 season. Like, that's not a thing. We're literally the only sport that does this.
Well, tennis does,
but not to that degree.
Tennis
does, but they don't have elevator clauses in them.
Right.
It's
exactly.
just
not to this degree. Like it's
the points you earn fall off one calendar year. Basically, when if you did great in Wimbledon, that'll carry you all the way up to next year's Wimbledon. But they always talk about they have to defend those points. Right. So if you were second in Wimbledon last year, this year if you get third, you lost points. Like you go backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you went from here to here.
Yeah.
But like, look, we unfortunately are far too versed in the world ranking system. I think what it ends being, and then we definitely should go to a different topic, is like what it ends up being is this: the premise was flawed in the beginning, because in order to force the world rankings to be relevant, what they decided was we're going to make the standard high enough that what we want is half the people to qualify by standard and half the people to be qualified via the rankings. And at the end of the day, a forced fit is never the right thing.
Yes.
And that's why some of the standards are about to go to an outrageous level next year.
Yeah.
So
yes, should we do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna switch lanes because we've already talked about a couple, like hinted at a couple topics that we were thinking about talking about. But talking about the rankings and how placement doesn't qualify you for a relay, all these things. So what do we think about when these federations have made these decisions to not bring all of the athletes who they can bring? Let's just say it that way. They can bring.
Well, I mean, we talked about the Brit piece. I think we all agree with that. I don't none of us see it as righteous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where I may differ from all of you. I don't know. Just tell the truth. I'm fine if I'm an athlete in GB. I can swallow this reality if you tell me what game we're playing
from the beginning.
From the beginning. Tell me the game, let me know what it is, and then we will go forth with that, whatever. What seems to be the case, and again, none of us are from Great Britain, none of us work with Team GB, but the reaction to the reality of who they have selected for their teams suggests that no one knew that that was coming. And that is uncool.
Yeah.
That is not right. That is all year coaches and athletes and agents are training and performing and trying to manipulate their way strategically into the ranking so I can make sure I hit this cutoff and go to the Olympics, to have the federation come in and be like, yeah, by the way, y'all not going. And magically, disproportionately affected the field eventers again.
Yep. I mean, as always.
Right? Like it's uncouth is what it is. And I don't think I would even go as far as to say that, given the way our sport is, if you do that to them for world championships, okay, don't do it during the Olympics. You know, the once every 4 year thing, you know, the thing that don't happen all the time, like you may get one shot at in life. Don't do it there. That's me. They're clearly not telling these people what the game is from the jump, and that part of it is not cool.
Yeah, the one thing, listen, our system is brutal, and we all know that, right? But the one thing is that we all know about our system is it's fair.
Oh, it's fair,
right? Line up, be top 3. That gives you the very best chance of going, and they will protect you as much as they can if you're in the top 3. Right now, if you had a monster performance and you were in the top 3, but you're not in the yield of the rankings, like, that is what it is. I get it, right? Like, I don't really like it, but at least I get it, right? That's not that different from the old days where you had to have a standard. So, like, I get that, but it's like when a country like Estonia or a country like Germany, who don't really have national championship situations, man, the manipulation of these rankings is wild.
It is. It is.
Right. And when they make athletes do things to show fitness, but it's like, what I need Clyde to do to show fitness is way different than what I need the governor to do. And you know, as a sidebar, Big League doesn't really have to show fitness. She just has to show up to the meet. Like, it's messy. Yeah. And that's why rankings is never really the best way to do this, because rankings allow subjectivity. And let's be clear, all of us did track for various and sundry reasons, but one of the primary reasons that everybody does track is the eye in the sky don't lie. Stopwatch is what it is. Tape measure is what it is. Yeah. Right? Like, if you jump 206, if I jump 207, I'm better than you. You can't say that you're better than me.
That's right.
Right? If I run 991 and you run 990 and we're in the same race, like, I'm better than you. You're better than me, whatever it is, right? There's no, well, Clyde looked better doing it, so he's, so we're going to take him. But that's what this smells like, right? There has become some of this. And to the point you just made, I'm actually sort of okay with the shenanigans. If you want to play with your own toy, right? World Athletics' toy is World Championships. But the Olympics don't belong to you. The Olympics belong to the IOC. This is why we went on this rant about the fact that nobody gets paid for winning an Olympic medal from the IOC, because the IOC owns the Olympics.
Right.
Right? So this isn't even your toy that you're messing with. And that part is wild. That part is wild to me.
Governor, any differing thoughts or contribution to that?
No. Again, I hate it for the athletes that when you start to delve into the point system, it becomes a very gray area, and now you are subjective. You're subject to politics. You know, depending on whatever federation it is, depending on who their favorites are, you know, I feel like that opens a door for a lot of unfair selection in the eyes if people are really paying attention. Okay, they don't have to take you. They
Nope.
don't have to, right? But if they choose one and not the other, you have to swallow that pill too. And that's the part that's I feel is unjust, and that's the gaping hole that you open up with the point system.
That's right. And I'll say this because this happens every trials, every USA's, whatever. A lot of Americans spend a lot of time complaining about our way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
You can say you don't like it. Trust me, you don't want that other way.
Oh, you don't want the other way at
You
all,
want
especially
no
not in this
parts
country.
of the other way. So for all the things that we definitely get wrong, that ain't one of them. It might be the one thing that we absolutely get completely right. Line up and race, shut up. We don't want to hear your story. It's the absolute most fair way.
Got it. All right. Well, there's a thing that media decided to put out to lead up to the Olympics to add to more storyline. It's called Sprint. It's a series on Netflix. I just saw a graphic today that was the #1 viewed thing on Netflix, something to that effect, in its first week. So that's pretty cool. Has everybody watched it on the tiles?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's
Twice.
awesome. Cool.
Twice for me as well.
So, overall thoughts first and foremost.
So whenever I watch shows like this, I immediately walk in with two schools of thought. Okay. And based on the reactions and all of that, I've seen every reaction from I absolutely hated it to, man, this is amazing. I want to see more. And so I sat down on my couch thinking like I'm a fan. Like I've never sat and watched a track meet in my life. Okay. What would I think sitting down and watching this? And it felt to me like the first Matrix. It felt to me like here's an introduction to the best sprinters in the world and what happens as they build up towards the crowning event of the year, the World Championships. And here's a glimpse. I use the word glimpse. It was more of a glimpse into their interactions, their antics, what their coaches, how their coaches are approaching competition. And I thought they did a good job. I love the editing. I love the fact that, the starting pistols were some of the loudest guns I've ever heard in my life. But we know why, right? They had to, bring it up a notch. But yeah, they built up every race to be an event. And they built it up to the crescendo at Budapest. And I thought they did a good job. And it's incomplete, of course, right? There's so much more to the picture, so much more to the puzzle. And hopefully, there is more to come, and we'll start to delve deeper into it. But I thought for the beginning and for the start, I think they did a good job.
I'm going to follow right along those lines. And I will say this. First of all, I need track people to stop complaining about track being on Netflix.
Yeah.
I need you to just shut the hell up because that's just stupid. Right.
Yeah.
So I said that we're going to move forward. What I thought was amazing, right? Because I too sat like a fan right? And I have a lot, because I work in baseball, and I have a lot of people who this was their first real exposure to all this stuff. I have one that lives in my house. And it was awesome watching those people come through this, because there's so many things about this that we as insiders and track people take for granted that the general population had no idea. We'll start with this one. I got asked this question. How come the sprint coaches don't ever go in the stadium? I chuckled. This is something we all know.
Yeah.
They never go in the stadium.
No.
Warm up, go watch the television.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But to the general public, they had no idea.
Yeah.
How about this one? Wait, they make y'all eat all your meals together? See, look, it's normal to us.
Right.
But to general people, that is absolute blasphemy.
Yeah.
They're like, wait a minute, time out. So the Patriots and the 49ers got to eat meals together for like 5 days, 6 days? Right? We realize how insane some of these things are, and they're inane only to our sports.
Right.
And it was awesome to show these things to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Like, we think it's normal that practice before a major championship all happens at the same places.
At the same place, yeah.
The Super Bowl teams do not see each other.
Right.
They don't even practice in the same stadiums.
Yeah.
Right.
And they don't practice in the stadium they're going to play in either.
Right.
Right? So like all of that behind the scenes stuff, we take for granted because we are behind the scenes. But the general people, it was awesome having my friends and my son. Now they got people they root for.
Yeah.
Right? Like Sharika Jackson has a whole lot more fans now than she used to. And Noah Lyles has made there's some people that's going to watch Noah Lyles because they want to see him fail.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's sort of painted as like this villainous hero, if that makes any sense. Right? But there's going to be a whole lot more people watching, because some are going to watch to see him fail and some are going to watch to see him dominate.
Right. Right.
Right. And so like that part is awesome. Can they do more? Hell yeah. Will they do more? Hell yeah. Did I talk to the Netflix guy at the trials about doing this same thing on the combined eventers? Because I told them we don't have to make up drama. Drama exists.
Yes.
Because unlike the sprinters and everybody else, we spend 2 whole ass days together.
Yes.
Right? The resting room for the combined events is its own Netflix series. Would you agree, Big League? Right? So at the end of the day, what I think people really need to get is like, yo, this is the tip of the iceberg. Because this is so successful, there is for sure going to be season 2 of the sprint, and there's probably going to be season 1 of something else.
Sure.
Maybe it's throws, maybe it's jumps, maybe it's combined events, maybe it's the distance runners with right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we definitely got this exposure is going to be great for track and field in general.
Okay. Y'all would put me in that position, and that's fine. I'm good. I agree.
Can't always let you just be petty.
I agree 100% with what you both said. And let me start off by saying, I'm glad this has been done. It is totally necessary. It is wildly popular. And all of that is good things for our sport, in which we all love. If you know me at any kind of personal level, you know I have a very distinct ability to segregate my brain and focus in whatever direction I need to. So I, too, the first time I saw it, sat there like, I don't know who the hell these people are. I just want to see what we've done. And what we've done is told a interesting, Netflix did an interesting introduction of main characters.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that was. I found all of it, each athlete featured, all of them. I found them to be uniquely intriguing. And when they were getting into, actual things about who they are as people and how they function and how they move, I was very interested in. When episode 6 ended, my feeling was, okay, but what's the story?
Mm-hmm.
What's the connective tissue that I'm supposed to care about moving forward other than the personalities, right? Because like what they clearly were doing within the bounds of introducing these main characters is they were basically telling the plot of whatever Noah Lyles is going to be and the plot of whatever Sha'Carri Richardson is going to be. And I get that. The problem that I had the second time I watched it, just going through it in more focused detail, is these people, all of these characters, all of these athletes, there's enough real intrigue and real drama. You don't have to manufacture it to tell the narrative you want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you mean by that? Perfect example. Episode 4, which is all about the American trials, USA's. You see interesting things about Gabby and her life. And then you see the 200-meter result where Gabby triumphs in a huge way and a new PB and beat down Sha'Carri and the whole rest of the field in the 200-meter dash.
Right.
And then the storyline shifted to the redemption of Sha'Carri at USA's, overcoming this beat that she took at 200 to conquer the 100 and set herself up as the favorite to go into Worlds. Here's the problem, folks. The 100 happened first.
Exactly. Happened
The
in
100
reverse.
happened first.
Yes.
So through editing, you manipulated the truth
Right.
to show Sha'Carri redeeming herself in a meet. But that's not what happened. Sha'Carri busted everybody's tail in the 100, arrived as U.S. champion, that girl, I'm not back, I'm better, and then got her head busted by Gabby in the 200. That is a story about Gabby and her narrative and her ascension and potential dominance of a 200 meters.
Yep.
But that light is diminished because you want to push the Sha'Carri redemption story. Well, I don't like that. Well, and I don't think Sha'Carri needs that. I think Sha'Carri's redemption story in itself is just fine. Well, because there is one there. I don't think you have to manipulate the facts to blow it up bigger.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's
for sure.
And I don't.
It was like the Zarnell Hughes angle, right?
Yes.
And we just ignored altogether Letsili Tebogo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We also completely ignored the fact that there were 2 Jamaican male 100-meter sprinters that had great seasons last year.
Yeah.
But again, we are going to pick it apart because we have the ability to. I'm going to assume that they did what they thought was the best way to make this come across positive, so they will get a longer leash to do more. Because I'm sure there's a whole nother season from this season on the cutting floor, is what I'm saying.
And that's my
film for 18 months and basically gave us 3 episodes cut in half, right? Because it was man, woman, man, woman, man, woman.
Right. And that's where I really wanted to go with what I'm saying, because true story, this week I'm walking through my office at San Jose State, and one of our associate ADs, wonderful woman who deals with our finances, Gloria Jimenez. I know she doesn't watch the show, but I love Gloria. Shout out to Gloria. She stops me, brings me into her office. She's like, I've been watching the Netflix thing. Oh my God, it's amazing. I didn't realize blah, 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 blah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I let her gush about it. And then I said, let me blow your mind. Because the thing that I just talked about, episode 4 with the 100, she described it exactly how I laid it out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was so cool to watch her rebound. I'm like, yeah. But hold on a second.
Right.
And then she was like, oh my God, that's kind of crazy. I would have never known that. And I'm like, right. Just understand that there's, even just between those two people in general, there's so much more connective tissue that is not on the screen.
Yes.
Nothing about the relay camp shenanigans, nothing about the drama that ensues. You would think that these people all relatively get along, including the Jamaicans.
Right.
They don't.
And that's just not true at all.
Yeah.
So season 2 is already done. It's going to come out after the Olympics, right? Like it's done. Like that's agreement. That's happening. And all I hope is moving forward, we tell stories. If we're going to tell the stories, let's tell the stories in context with way more information, because what we all have learned, and we are the reality TV generation. The first reality TV show ever was The Real World. We were all young when that happened.
Yes.
And we were all about it.
Reality TV has proven one thing. The drama sells. So since there's real drama, show it. Don't manufacture a narrative of the people you want to elevate. Just tell the truth and watch the fireworks, because that's what our sport is.
So to your point, Clyde, that is the romantic inside you. And I applaud the romantic inside you. I highly doubt it's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
And this is a thing where, you know, you talk about the narrative, okay? The movie narrative does not support the star of the show winning and then losing.
That's right.
It doesn't support that.
That's right.
There has to be some consternation. Wasn't this? And then the show ends. Ta-da! This is beautiful. I'm not back. I'm better. Da 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 da. Walk off into the sunset, right?
Yes.
And again, we're starting to we're starting to see where reality TV mixed in with sports. The athletes, you mentioned Tobogo, okay? Why is Noah and Sha'Carri getting most of the airtime? Well, they're the most comfortable with being
100%.
abusive. They're the most comfortable with
Yes.
being out there and saying whatever they can to promote themselves shamelessly to some extent.
100%.
And unless, and this should be a lesson to anyone, you know, in the future, if this continues, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision, a business decision, as to whether you want to be a star in reality TV terms or not.
Yes. Correct.
I mean, Noah said it on the show, right? You got to have main character energy.
That's right. A sprint documentary featuring the great Allison Felix would be very, very boring.
Yeah.
Because that is not her personality, right? Like in her time as an athlete, that wasn't it, right?
So imagine this, listen more and talk less. Imagine Linford, Donovan, John Drummond,
yes,
Bolden.
Yes.
I mean, Michael Johnson, Maurice Green. Oh my goodness.
For sure. But the funny thing with the Allison point, if you would have told the story during the heyday of Allison and Sonya and how they had a beef,
oh man,
and how they had an actual rivalry and what it was founded on and why. Yes, I want to watch that.
Right. Let's not forget Veronica Campbell Brown and Allison
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Like, listen, the one thing people will understand if they keep doing these things is like, track has beef.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Track has beef,
It
and
does
look,
exist.
I'm not trying to give away too much, but let's be honest. The untold story altogether is the beef on the practice track with the coaches and the groups,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yes.
you know, the general public think that the Dennis and the Francises are
Mhm.
boys.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's a negative, Ghost Rider.
Right.
And again, you don't have to play it up,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you can tell it. The context is where the truth is. There is backstory to coaches.
Yep.
Hell,
Oh
again,
yeah,
if the whole idea is you want this show to be uber popular and you want more people dialed into our sport,
Right.
tell the backstory of some of these people.
Yep.
How did we arrive at this moment?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
don't tell me the clean version. Tell me the real version.
Yeah.
I'm here for all of it.
Yep.
Big Lee. What was your take?
I haven't finished it. I have barely
Oh.
watched an episode.
All right, so
All right.
Chewy has a homework assignment. You got to finish it by next week because
Yeah.
you can't give it like you have to see the whole
Yeah.
thing.
You just see the whole
Okay.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
do.
don't think I've not seen a whole episode, so not a good thought on it. So, or a complete thought on it. But nonetheless,
Even Kai said, "Oh
you know, there's so much more going on. You know, we are weeks away from the games. So much more to be unfolded, so many things to happen. So we'll definitely bring you what we have, discuss it, rationalize it, maybe not rationalize it, maybe discuss amongst ourselves how it could get there. But another fun week of Athletics LLC. But until next week, we'll see each other again. Bye, guys.